What's going on, everybody? Emmett Ferguson here. And before we get into the book review on David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, it's written by a Navy SEAL. David Goggins is a Navy SEAL. You can hear all about his story inside the book. And before we get into that, obviously he's one of the toughest dudes, bros, men on the planet. But before we get into that, I want to share with you this trick to get yourself running. Now, there's maybe somebody watching this video who's thinking to themselves, well, there's no trick to get running. As Jocko Willink might say, he's another famous, successful Navy SEAL commander who's written books and everything. And I've watched a lot of his videos. And his big thing is, there's no meditation, there's no motivation, there's no, trick to get yourself up and moving along. It's literally just getting your butt up and making it happen. Now, there are people in the world who can do that. And for everybody else, whether you're, whether you're not very active or whether you're just missing something that gets you that pushes you to start running, this video is for you. The easiest answer is literally turn off this video, tie your shoes, put on your shoes, and go jog around the block. That's the easiest solution. But the trick to getting yourself running is ultimately going to come from this book. And that's why I totally recommend this book. 10 out of 10. I wouldn't review it if it wasn't a good book because I don't like to, do negative criticisms on people's book. I'd rather just not waste my time or say anything about it at all. But with that said, it's got great reviews and everything. But at the end of the day, what's going to get you running, maybe if you're in the gym, if you've been going to the gym already, and if you realize the value of running, if you realize the importance of cardio, and you realize, maybe you heard from somebody that 10 years down the road it's going to hurt your knees or something, and you've got all these excuses for yourself, some of them bad, thinking like 30 years that your knees are going to feel uncomfortable because you're running is, you got to balance out your consequences, right? Is the benefit of running over 30 years better than, possibly having knees that are aching a little bit? Go to a doctor, talk to them about physical fitness. But at the end of the day, I think what might keep a lot of people from running is the idea that it's not seen as a tough sport. Yet, if you read this book, you will realize that running can toughen you up. And I just finished a 3-mile run, and I wanted to make this video because this book has helped me so much. About 7 months ago, when I finally got back into running after, 4 years of not running, I had consistently gone to the gym, and, I felt strong. And, if you go to the gym, you don't really see results from running because you think, oh, I want my muscles to get bigger. I don't want to be losing too much weight. I need, fat to burn and, calories. So, you have all sorts of reasons of why going to the gym, you don't need to run, or maybe you do a bike, but most people know that bikes at the gym are much easier than actually getting out there and running 2-3 miles. Nothing beats miles on the road. So with that, the trick is to literally read this book. Now, there are people who think of running and they think about the difficulty of it. Maybe you ran a couple months ago and you could barely go a mile without being hard of breath. That was me probably 7 months ago. I ran twice around the block, which is about a little over a third of a mile each. And when I came back, I could barely, breathe, and my legs were aching. And something like that kept me from running because it felt uncomfortable. But, I got to give it up to this book for keeping me moving, listening to it. Every couple of weeks I would get back into a store and listen to it. And you would just feel like, I got to get my life together. I got to get my fitness together. I got to get motivated to start running because not only do you know the benefits, most of us know the benefits. Most of us realize that running, it's good for your cardio. It helps get your blood flowing. It's good for your weight maintenance, keeping your bad fat down, and just overall a good exercise. And the trade-off is if you or worried about your knees or joints or something, the trade-off is in 30 years from now, are you going to be more concerned about your cardio and saying, oh, I didn't run those 30 years simply because because I'm worried about my knees? I don't. So, depending on what your excuse is or your reason, we're not going to call them excuses because some people might be offended. Depending on your reasons, this book will kick you into gear for sure, for sure. This book, there's a link in the description below that you can click, and there's either a free Audible copy if you've never downloaded an Audible book before, and I totally recommend listening to this book because the book has a like an interview style where they go through each chapter, and then the interviewer asks the interviewer, his name is Adam Skolnick, and he interviews and talks to David Goggins, and David Goggins gives a little more insight into his story, which is amazing. But one thing that I think might keep at least people who regularly go to the gym running, it's not about getting yourself motivated. It's not about not being able to get yourself up and more. Because if you're going to the gym regularly, you can probably get your butt over there. But maybe you just might not think of running. You think about the health benefits of running, but you don't think of it as like a tough activity, something that makes your muscles look nicer or makes you look more fit. But this book will argue otherwise. Definitely argue otherwise. Because, it's one thing to be in a gym and you could see the progress. But it's basically like, working out your upper body but not working out your legs. So getting chicken legs, neglecting that part of your body. But I think even people who have a good overall physical fitness or physique, they end up, neglecting running because maybe they don't see the benefit, or they think of the benefit, but they think it's not a hard activity that makes you harder or tougher or whatever. So, in summary, I think the trick and David Goggins does a great job of capturing this, is realizing that there are some darn tough people out there that run, and running is a pretty challenging activity. That's why not everybody does it. That's why a lot of people that go to the gym neglect doing it, or they just go on the treadmill for a little bit, or they just go on the bicycle for a little bit, but they end up forgetting to actually go outside and run. So that's for the gym goer. But let's say you're just on the couch and you barely even go to the gym. This book will still help you get your life into check, or get you, I don't want to say motivated, but help you realize the importance and the value of, getting yourself into better physical shape than you already are. And obviously his story is amazing. Navy SEAL, raised in tough conditions, went through some of the toughest military training known to humans 3 times before he finally got accepted, overcame massive difficulties, and was overweight at one point and still was able to break records like pull-up records. Now, when you're reading this book, I'm not saying that this book is going to turn you into some sort of record-breaking, Guinness Book of World Record-breaking pull-up machine. You're not going to be running 100 miles next month or even, a year from now. But at least it'll change not only your perspective on what it means to run and why running is not just an activity just for cardio, but it can possibly toughen you up and make you a better thinker, because you get a lot of time to think while running. But also it's going to be able to help you have this motivating factor, because when you hear the story of an extreme person, someone who's accomplished extreme feats, who's run multiple 100 miles and does it with a purpose, someone who isn't just about the fame and the fortune or whatever, but someone who actually has a purpose. When you hear about a story from a guy like David Goggins, it has an effect on you, a very powerful effect. And again, there's a link in the description below, once to the book, once to a a free copy of this Audible if you've never had an Audible book before, but I totally recommend this, like literally ASAP. There's a lot of books on motivation. There's a lot of books on making money. There's a lot of books on marketing and getting yourself motivation or motivated, and a lot of books on leadership. But this is the only book that I can think of, one of very few. There's probably a handful of them, from someone that you'll probably listen to. Not that you won't listen to anybody else, but once you start hearing his story, there's something that's powerful about it that just makes you think like, hey, I need to go put on my shoes right now, walk out the door, and at least take one lap around the neighborhood. Just one lap at a faster pace than the usual walk. And one thing that motivated me to continue on reading this book was I read a review, and it was from a woman who said she was quite a bit older, and that this book had motivated her to get started. Now, I'm not saying anything about gender or anything, but she had positioned herself as someone that would not be the typical person who would want to get hard. And that's what David Goggins is all about: getting hard, staying hard, keeping yourself tough. And I'm not saying that it's about that it's about becoming some sort of hardened military veteran, but at least hearing that story and that level of progress, that level of potential, and to at least get a step up from where you are today. And this book will help you do that. So totally recommend it. His story, his way of seeing the world is definitely one that can help to change your view, while also getting you up off the couch, or getting you not just out of the gym, but onto a track so that you start improving your cardio. And for me, over the past like 6-7 months, again, I was barely able to do maybe 2 laps, less than a mile, without having to catch my breath, to now being able to consistently jog at least 3 miles. And having this book, realizing that I could listen to it in my car, and every single week I would listen to it. I wouldn't listen to it all in one sitting, but each week I would listen to it. I'm like, damn, what am I doing, right? I'm trying to do all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, especially with the coronavirus and everything, most people are worried about money or their next paycheck or whatever. But here's the thing: is everyone's being affected by this. If you don't have money and you don't have your health, what do you really got? So at least listening to this, you can get it for free in the link in the description below if you've never had an Audible book. Otherwise, it's less than $10. Listen to it, and at least you can have your health. If you at least just see it, not just seeing it from the standpoint of the idea that running is a tough or is a challenging activity, or that it is just an activity that maybe skinny people with skinny legs do, but as an activity that is tough to compete in, that is challenging, that can make you hard if you go all out and go to the top levels of being a good runner. So with that, that's my review on the book. Ultimately, I think his story is amazing. His story in itself is amazing, but the most powerful part of this book is the motivational factor, the message, the perception change of what it means to run. And of course, there's so much more, right? If you want to become someone, if you're younger and you're watching this video and you want to join the military, totally recommend this book. If you want to get motivated for other things outside of running, totally read this book. If you just want to hear an amazing story about someone who has lived an extraordinary life, and who is a pretty authentic, who has a pretty authentic story to tell, read this book. And beyond that, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope it was helpful. Hope it, at least gets you motivated. And as an action, definitely download this book. Get it on Amazon. There's a link in the description below. And as another action, put on your shoes and go take a walk or something. In times like these, with making this video during COVID-19, haven't shaved, haven't done my hair or anything, and just wanted to make this video after a run, because this has helped me get to a point where, it is a very, it is a book that definitely makes you think about what you're doing and helps you kick yourself up a notch. Plus, follow him on like Twitter and stuff. When you see his Twitter and everything, he's doing motivational speeches, like multiple minute long or whatever motivational speeches while he's running through the desert. So if that doesn't get you going, someone who leads by example, I don't know what will. So with that, again, that's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins and Adam Skolnick, who helps to narrate the book. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment if you like this. If you go out on a run, let me know, and have a wonderful day.